Hello, fellow bookish people. I come to you today with a tag. This is from Sean the Book Maniac and his continuing series in the Alphabet Soup tag. This is E is for Endings, and I will get into it so it is not E is for Endless. The prompts are E is for Ending, a book with a great one, and one with an ending whose ending sucked. And for an ending that was a great one, I'll go with Moby Dick. Great ending, great in a kind of an action scene, but also just really iconic ending there. For a book that sucked, I'm going to go with Neal Stephenson's The Diamond Age, or A Young Lady's Illustrated Primer. It is a book I quite enjoy, but the ending is very, very 1990s, kind of one of these orgiastic, almost kind of like a rave ending, and I don't think it holds up very well in comparison to the rest of the book, which I quite enjoy. Number 2. E is for Elderly, a favorite or memorable elderly character. Go back a little ways to Oldest Confederate Widow Tells All by Alan Gurganus, where Lucy Marsden is in a nursing home. She's like 99 years old, and she dictates her memoirs of being married in like 1900 to a Civil War veteran, and becomes basically a veteran of a veteran. And Lucy Marsden herself is this really vivid and wonderfully alive character in that book. So that's my answer for there. Number 3. 3 is for EU, your favorite contemporary writer post-World War II from the European Union. And Sean asked, probably skip the UK in this, because if you're a reader who reads a lot, you probably read a lot from the UK, so do something a little bit out of the unusual. So I've picked Elisa Morante. I picked up 2 Italian books while I was in Italy. One of them was The Leopard by Giuseppe Tomasi de Lampedusa, which I really loved, and this is the second book. So this is the next EU author that I'm really looking forward to getting to. Number 4, E is for E, a writer whose first or last name begins with the letter E. For this, I'm going to pick Eddie Campbell, a British cartoonist who's probably best known for illustrating From Hell, Alan Moore's book about Jack the Ripper. But I'm actually more kind of focusing on his Alex series, which is sort of semi-autobiographical. He'd been working on it since the 1970s, where it kind of follows the ups and downs of a cartoonist named Alec and his kind of little kind of very day-to-day adventures. Eddie Campbell has a very kind of scratchy pen and ink style, which I really enjoy. Very much, I guess, as always, I was into superheroes at one point, but I'm very much into just sort of how cartooning is great at capturing kind of just everyday life. So that's my recommendation for a writer you might really enjoy, a writer artist you might really enjoy, somebody who actually is concerned with how to be an artist. This is both a manual, a warning, and just sort of a good portrait of hard scrabble. So you want to be an artist? Well, get ready to be poor. Number 5, E is for Exploration, a new writer, theme, or genre you'd like to try. For this, I've gone with a new author who actually isn't really a new author. Is somebody I've read he is the author of Edward Whittemore, who is the author of the Jerusalem Quartet, of which I've collected all 4 books. I've read Nile Shadows, which is like number 3 in it. I read it a long time ago. I remember enjoying it enough that I then went out and collected the rest of the series. But now I can't remember anything of it. So he's like an as-new author that I want to explore. I want to start at the very beginning and get into this series. Number 6 is for Et tu, Brute, a book in which betrayal plays a central role. And for this, I'll pick Sarah Waters' Fingersmith, which I'm not going to pull out because it's holding up my camera at the moment, but there's a picture of it, where set in kind of a Dickensian England. I won't say anything more other than betrayal plays a central, pivotal role in that, in a delightfully so in that book. That is my pick for Betrayal, and I heartily recommend that book as something if you're looking for something very twisty and twists that are just really awesome and are emotionally connected to the characters. Is just really great. Number 7, E is for Exception, a book that you really like despite it containing what you usually always consider a fatal flaw. And I don't know if this is a fatal flaw, but Diaries by Christopher Isherwood. I am somebody who doesn't usually get into diaries. I pick them up with the best of intents, and I'll start reading them, but I usually never make it through it. This book I love. This is like one of my favorite books, Christopher Isherwood's Diaries from 1939 to 1960. And a part of the reason is Christopher Isherwood is a great prose stylist. He was a novelist of the 20th century, gay novelist of the 20th century. Wrote Single Man, which I think I've reviewed on this channel, which I really love. So his prose is really great. Him just sort of writing in his diary daily, probably with an eye to publishing, you can see, is really amazing. But the key thing with this book is how it's packaged. In that, in the very back of it, it has little potted biographies of the various people who appear in the book. Because I think the thing that I find alienating about most diaries is that, suddenly they'll start talking about Ed. Ed came in and I was talking to him, and of course I'm very angry with him, and you have no idea what the hell he's talking about because the authors, they're in the midst of their life, so they kind of assume knowledge, but you don't have that knowledge unless you've read a whole bunch of biographies. This book provides you with little biographies of all the people and their relationship with Isherwood, thus making for all the more kind of a gripping of a read. So yeah, that's my E is for Exception. I wish all diaries were structured this way, and probably also had as great a writers as Christopher Isherwood writing them. Number 8 is E is for Ease, a book title with a lot of E's in it. And so for this little scavenger hunt, I've gone for Pre-Millennial Makeys, the first 5 years by Tony Millionaire, which gets me up to six E's, not 7 E's, Brian. You don't count the author's name in your E's. That's cheating. That's cheating. I've decided that's cheating. It's highly offensive there. I don't know why, but yes. So that's my answer for that little scavenger hunt. 9 is E is for Ever Present, a book that you read a long time ago that has really stuck with you. And for that one, I have picked Henry Miller, The Tropic of Cancer, which is got more of I don't know if it's a sentimental thing, a sentimental reason for it, of when I first transitioned into what I considered at that point in like a 16-year-old, 17-year-old as adult literature. I went to the library, I found Anais Nin. Anais Nin talked a lot about Henry Miller, a guy who turned out she was probably having an affair with at the time. That isn't actually admitted in her diaries, carefully edited that way. So I picked up Henry Miller and was heavily into, I guess this is my old dude bro lit of the time. I haven't read Henry Miller in a long time. I don't know how it would be going back to it, but for good or ill, he's kind of at the start of what I considered at the time as adult literature. This is sort of auto fiction. This is talking about him in, I think it's 1930s Paris. I believe it's after the Lost Generation of the 20s. Him kind of scrabbling around, discovering himself as perhaps an artist, as a writer. So that it was very highly appealing to me as a young man. I don't know how it will be now. At some point, I'm gonna go back and read them and find out. Oh boy, won't that be fun? I'm sure the comment section will be up ruin. But yeah, that's my answer for that. Number 10 is E is for Eliminate, a group of books you got rid of or want to, or why. For me, that is, I moved about 2 years ago from Upper Island down here, and I just went. I have so many books, and I sacrilege on BookTube, but I kind of went through my books and went, am I going to read this in the next 5 years? Do I have an emotional connection to this book? There was a very small number of books that I have an emotional connection to. I guess Henry Miller was one of them. He stayed, but that eliminated probably probably about 2/3 of my of the books I had were like, am I going to read this in the next 5 years? I probably have enough books. I'm probably pretty good. So yeah, I hit that stage. There's you have your accumulation part of your life, and then you have the, okay, I'm being crushed by my possession stage of your life. That's what I entered into. So I got rid of a ton of stuff. You often feel that when you're actually having to move all your crap. If you could stay in one place forever, I'm sure I would have just accumulated and accumulated until I couldn't move in my little room. Number 11 is E is for everyone. Tag extensively.